Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Woo! The sensation, Jason Gavon!
Danmark har fået en ny verdensmester. Mikkel Tesla. He's the fucking champion of the world. Mikkel, man.
The 120th edition of the Boxing Style Nuthouse podcast. This is your host Andy Peterson, back after 2 weeks annual leave. The 100th now. All you Adam Out fan club followers will be happy to know that Adam Smith isn't here this week. Don't know what's been going on there, guys. The hate in the Mixler chat there last week was deplorable. I mean, disgusting stuff. I mean, my daughter was in tears when I showed her it. Anyways, on to the action last night from the Barclays Centre. We saw Danny Garcia and Lamont Peterson fight out a majority decision victory for Danny Garcia. Our very own Dave the Hater was actually in the house. Dave, mate, give us your thoughts on the card. Obviously, the two main fights. One thing I actually want to get your take on as well is being live. Was it apparent to you as well about the size difference in Lamont Peterson over Danny Garcia there last night?
I didn't really notice that live. It was a great night of boxing. The crowd turned up for the two main events, but they did disperse very quickly for the all the other fights. In fact, even for Louis Colazzo, who was on the undercard, and he's a Brooklyn man. But it was I was surprised to see that Andy Lee had a bigger following in Brooklyn than Peter Quillin. I mean, there were people who were rooting for him. Danny Garcia was the crowd favorite. I guess I don't think it follows from Philly. I think it's from the Puerto Rican population in New York. They were all on his nuts. But I think the way that fight went, this is how it went for me. I didn't really have a horse in that race because I hadn't liked either of the guys before. But as the fight kept going, and you see Peterson's game plan start to take shape and actually work and pay dividends. I personally just had to start rooting for him. It was sort of like the Ray Leonard Hagler fight, where you just like he does so much better than you expect. You got to root for him. He's the underdog here, and I think that affected the crowd as well. I mean, there were people behind me who were screaming about Danny, but as they went on, they started applauding Peterson too, which I mean, it was a great fight.
How'd you score that fight, Dave? I mean, I've been seeing scores over the place and stuff. I mean, I think it was a close fight. I think I can see what the reason why people maybe score it for Garcia when you think about Peterson moved around a lot in the mid rounds before he kind of came on strong late on. How did you score the fight live?
I've got to rescore both two main events because they were both close, both controversial. Obviously, I didn't score it perfectly accurately live. I was trying to just keep up with the momentum of the fight and the crowd reaction, and also taking video and pictures. But I felt after the fight that it was a fight that Garcia won, because I just thought he took too many early rounds and Peterson started too late. So I thought it was definitely a close fight, but I didn't score it round by round, so I can't say for sure. The Lee Quillin, I just kept thinking Andy Lee's got to do more, because I thought he was winning very tight rounds later on in the fight, but he was already down so much that he's got to do something much bigger to turn this around. I was shocked by the draw card. I wonder if Quillin had made weight if he would have actually gotten that decision, because for one, it matters more to Al Heyman that he gets that belt. For another, might not have weighed on the judges' minds that here's this guy who comes in here, couldn't be bothered to make weight, and maybe that biased them against him a little bit, because I thought that was also a fight that he won, although I have to score that one again as well. I thought Quillin and Garcia won.
Hopefully the WBO don't sanction an immediate rematch, especially with Quillin missing weight. Now, Lou DiBella told us that the deal that was made, Billy Joe Saunders will get the next shot. Donnie, give me your take on that fight, mate. I think you had Garcia slightly edging that fight out there last night, but do you have any complaints about Peterson getting a nod there last night?
I mean, I actually, I thought the last round could have gone either way, and, I personally, I thought it was as close to a draw as you can get. I have no objection to Garcia winning the fight. It was a difficult fight to score. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, no, I didn't have Garcia. I had Lamont Peterson winning. I had him winning by 2 points. Excuse me. Sorry, I was thinking of the Andy Lee fight rather. But anyways, no, I thought that I thought Lamont Peterson was really frustrating Danny Garcia, and he was making him not look good, even if he didn't necessarily. There were some of those early rounds where he didn't maybe necessarily win them, but he seemed to be controlling the fight, controlling the distance, not letting Garcia set his feet and throw punches, making Garcia miss. And he needed a little bit more offensive activity, I think, in those early rounds to ultimately take the fight. I thought he did take the fight, but I think he could have made a more emphatic case for himself if he had gotten started a little bit sooner, just as Dave just said. But I mean, you can't complain about it. Like, it was a close fight. The thing that I do get frustrated with a little bit, though, is it always seems as if in any close fight, like, Danny Garcia always gets the benefit of the doubt. I think he is definitely one of Al Heyman's favorites. He is starting to draw a good following on the East Coast, as you heard Dave say last night. You know, all the fans there were basically Garcia fans. And I think they're trying to set him up for a big fight in the near future. Whether it's Pacquiao or Mayweather, or whatever, but I think, I was just recently thinking, what if he met Cotto at 150, in an all Puerto Rican battle, that could be a big fight down the line as well, especially if the Cotto and Canelo camps aren't coming to agreement or whatever. An all Puerto Rican war could be a big thing, because Garcia is huge for 140 anyways. He's never going to fight there again, and he's going to be at least 147, so it wouldn't be too much of a step up to meet Cotto at, say, 150 or 151, 152. But anyways, I just thought it was a good fight. It was good to watch. And my other observation is just that, Lamont Peterson, usually in a lot of his fights, tends to come forward, tends to try to punish the body, break his man down. And last night he was the boxer and the mover, and that's a role we don't normally see from him. And when he utilized those tactics, I thought he made Garcia look very lost in there. I mean, even if you think Garcia won the fight, like I said, you can't say that he really looked good. And Lamont Peterson, he's a good boxer, but he's not a great one. To me, I think that Garcia was, even in a win, kind of taken down a peg a little bit. I don't know what other people think.
I agree. Although I think Lamont Peterson was better defensively than I've ever seen him before. I mean, his head movement and even those shots that just partially connected, he rolled with them so well. So that, at the end of the fight, you see his face isn't marked up at all, whereas Garcia's is. I think he looked fantastic defensively, and it shocked me. It's a good thing Hurt isn't here to be gloating, because his boy his boy Lamont actually turned up this time. But yeah, I was shocked. I thought, like I said last week, I thought Lamont he always does the same thing. Like he starts off with a game plan of, I'm going to box this guy, then he inevitably loses it too early, goes in and starts trying to slug, because that's what he's actually best at. And he showed a lot of discipline last night, and I was impressed.
Alex, do you think Danny Garcia's declined in any sort of way, or do you just think it's merely an issue with the weight?
I think you've got to say he's declined a bit, because ever since that Matisse win, he hasn't really had a really big standout performance. I mean, obviously, but there was the Rod Salka fight, but you can't really include that as any sort of outstanding performance. It was a great knockout, but it's what you expected him to do. Rod Salka was nothing. He's obviously had the Herrera fight, and he looked bad in that and should have lost that. And he's had this performance now against Peterson. He looked very, I don't know, either one-dimensional or he just looked really confounded at times with what Lamont Peterson was doing. And you can obviously see how frustrated he was when after the fight. He was making excuses about Lamont running and saying, "Oh, you don't win a fight by running away," and all that bullshit. And that was nonsense, because you saw Lamont beating the shit out of him in those later rounds. And unfortunately, he didn't win the fight because he wasted those early rounds. But I do think Danny Garcia is either he reached his peak against Batiste, and he's either not been able to capitalise properly on that, or simply that he's gone from that and he can't do anything better than that. And maybe we've overrated Matisse. Maybe Matisse really wasn't that good in the first place, and the win over him really just made us think too much of Garcia. Maybe Garcia is just a decent chin and a left hook, because that's all he really showed last night, and he really didn't land much of that left hook either. So I wonder if maybe he will be better at a bigger weight. Maybe the weight is the issue for him, and maybe the extra couple of pounds will help us see a better fighter. But I think that the issues that were there, the technical issues that were displayed against Herrera and Peterson, he's not going to fix those by adding 4 pounds to himself. So, I enjoy watching him usually, Garcia. I think he's an absolute twat, but he's usually in decent fights.
I mean, hang on though. I don't think you could say that the weight is any kind of issue, because he got to pick the weight for this fight. I mean, he didn't have to go down to 140. If he wanted to fight at 144, if he wanted it at 145, he could have had it. He was the A side in the fight. He could have picked that if he wanted to. You're right. I mean, he may well look better at 147, but I'm not going to.
I don't think so.
I
don't think so. I mean, I really did think that there was an issue with the weight. I was looking at his resume when I was on holiday there and stuff, and he has fought at 147 for a fair amount of time as well. I mean, this bullshit he's saying is he's fought at 140 since he was like 18 or something, just complete shit. The thing I'm looking at is, I mean, I thought Lamont Peterson actually was a bigger man there last night, and Garcia is, he isn't really great technically at times, but he's left hook happy. Take the left hook out of play, and then he's got nothing else to answer back other than that, a strong chin there. I really don't think he's going to be great up at 147.
Can we definitively say that the machine Matisse took his soul?
I'd like to say
I think the maestro took his soul there. I think Herrera
took his soul.
Peterson. He's looked terrible.
Took his soul.
I guess we can certainly say Garcia's no Matisse, is he?
Well, just you talk about Kurt's comments there, Donnie. He sent me a message in here. This is for Kurt. He says, Lamont Black Willie Pep made Garcia look like his ridiculous shows, like the cement him in. He says here, he laughed as he walked Danny down and battered fuck out of him. Does Can dare take on King Pete again? Think, Donnie?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a more interesting fight now. If Peterson can manage not to do any TRT this time, and we could actually get the rematch.
Allegedly, Donnie, you're a solicitor now, mate. Come on, now.
He admitted it.
Yeah, there's no allegedly about it. He admitted it.
There's no allegedly about it. He said, and not only that, but I mean, in the stupidest move ever, the funniest part about it was that not only did he get popped for the TRT, he goes, "Oh yeah, I did it in the last fight too." Like he took the shine off of his own victory.
But didn't he do that first, like because he had like a medical condition or something?
Yeah, well, so he says, but I mean, like, if you have a medical condition, you could go get a prescription, and you could get a therapeutic use exemption, otherwise known as a TUE, and, you know, lots of guys have gotten that. I mean, he could have gone about the legitimate route to get that if he had that condition legitimately.
Never mind that, just get on about the fight. We know we know the cloak and dagger stories. You'll be bringing up the man in the hat next.
Well, I mean, look, I think that... Yeah, I mean, if it's weird because it's hard to say off of last night's performance what Peterson would do differently. I still see him fighting Khan in the same way, trying to get inside, smother his work, frustrate him, bang him to the body, just kind of like he did last time. Except I think Khan this time would be more intelligent about the way he approached the fight. So I don't think you'd see the same Lamont Peterson that you saw last night. I think Lamont came to the conclusion that he could outbox Danny on the outside. And in my opinion, he actually did that. But I don't think that you can take something from this performance and apply it to a Khan fight because styles make fights, and I don't think he fights Khan in the same way that he chose to fight Garcia last night.
Well, I really like to see what Peterson would look like up at 147.
What do you think would be a more challenging fight for Khan then? Garcia rematch or the Peterson rematch?
Peterson.
Well, clearly, I'm sorry.
I'm going to say Peterson. Up at 147?
Yeah, 147.
I'm going to say Peterson because the thing is, Khan's worked himself up to 147. Garcia's been mucking around about in catch weights and stuff and staying away from the full limit. And, you know, there was a time they were talking about Garcia fighting Mayweather at one point, for Christ's sake, and that's just been... Come on. 147. As I says, I don't think Garcia's going to be the force as he was at 140 or 147.
Well, I think the Garcia rematch should be tougher because Garcia has a really strong left hook, and that's the punch that Khan is, you know, most vulnerable to, in my opinion.
Fall for that again, though?
Well, I don't think so. I think he's smarter now, although a lot of people would say otherwise. But
of course you wouldn't.
Yeah, never mind the Black Willie Pep. I'd go one step further and say Peterson looked like Isaac Chilemba in there last night. But I mean, all joking aside, though. Sorry, Dave. Garcia did look poor, didn't he? He looked. I think Alex said this actually. He looked to me like a guy who was on the slide. He looked like a worn-out veteran after a tough career. Thank you very much. And which he isn't. And I think Alex, you alluded to this as well about Matisse. I think that Matisse was overrated. I don't think he was as good as people suggested beforehand. And I was just surprised how small Garcia looked in against Peterson last night. He's been labelled as a big puncher, but, I mean, I don't think that Garcia punches maybe as hard as people think at the top level.
I said the same thing last night.
Amir Khan would suggest otherwise, but Garcia wasn't visibly shaking Peterson, even though Peterson was dancing around, moving in circles and frustrating him. I think that Peterson fought a good fight, but it was a close one. It was close. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. Bad line there, Brian, mate.
I think Brian got his microphone at the same place that Alex Morris got his from.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, you could say, I think... Brian, you there? Hello? No, he's not there. Steve, I'll move on to you, mate. I mean, you were shadowboxing in the living room once Andy Lee dropped Peter Quillin. I think he was going to pull the
I was
business.
shadowboxing to the canvas.
Tell us about it, mate. I mean, that was basically Andy Lee, man, came in there and complete just, want to have a tear up with Peter Quillin there last night. Dropped in the third round, but managed to turn it back. I think it was the 6th or 7th when he dropped him. No problems with the draw, actually. Give me your take on the fight, and do you think he's now going to turn around and face Saunders next?
Yeah, I think it would be nice to see him fight Saunders later in the year. They're talking about Thomond Park in Limerick, maybe. That would be nice, but I think more realistically, Warren will probably bring it to London or something like that. Lee, of course, was dropped in the first round as well. I didn't think he was actually going to make it out of that round. I'm not sure why Quillin didn't jump on him and put the pressure on, because I thought Lee was really hurt. Another referee, a more fidgety referee might have even stopped it, but he gave Lee the benefit of the doubt, which was rightly so, I thought, and let him carry on. It just goes to show sometimes, a bit of caution, just throw him back out there, and they see the distance out, but he was badly hurt. The thing is about Andy Lee, I've said this before, he's one of these guys, we know he's got the power, but sometimes he looks more hurt than he is. He looks raggedy, and people are hitting him. He's got the sort of shaggy dog hair flying all over the place. He's hanging on. His arms are dropping down by his waist. He's a guy who looks like he's one punch away from being in serious trouble, but he's actually a really tough guy. He showed that against Chavez. He hung in there, and against Brian Vera, even though he got stopped, he was still throwing back. There was the Craig McEwen fight as well. Whenever he was losing, and he pulled it out right at the end. And I remember a fight.
It's because his balance is so bad. Like, he's always out of position. He's so gangly and awkward. He's just like hobbling around the ring. It just looks really bad. Like sort of like Naseem Hamed when he fought Pereira, made it look like he was getting hurt a lot worse than he was.
Mm-hmm. He's always been that way, Dave, and he finds it difficult when he throws the punches to get his hands back up into place. So whenever he lands one, he usually gets copped with one or two back himself. But like I was saying, I remember him fighting a guy, Willie Gibbs, in Limerick about 7 or 8 years ago, and he was really losing badly against Gibbs. He was this American puncher. He's not on the scene anymore, and he was getting hurt. And Lee pulled the fight out of the fire in literally the last 10 or 15 seconds of the 10-rounder to stop Gibbs. So we know that he's got power, and he's got heart, and he's got balls and everything. And I was impressed with him. I mean, the funny thing was about last night is that for all the shenanigans and about the weight and Quillin not making the weight, even though it's a weight he's made 4 or 5 times before at championship level, and I don't know why he's suddenly got a problem making middleweight. But the weight didn't even matter. That was the bizarre thing, in that Lee got to keep his belt. He got a big payday. Quillin couldn't win the belt, but I mean, it doesn't matter because they don't worry about these WBO belts and whatever on PBC. It looks like they're going to have their own belts, their own weight classes.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I'll add this later, but I was going to say, actually, the PBC took a marked transition last night and actually mentioned the belts, had a segment about Quillin not making the weight. So I'm wondering if they're reconsidering that. But anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention that. I didn't know what stream you saw.
Yeah, no, that's fine. They were throwing it in, and I know they were playing music and stuff, but just finally, I know they're having their own weight classes and everything, but even though they've started mentioning things and they are tweaking it a bit, they do look like they are trying to carve out their own corner in the sport of boxing, like some kind of stateless organisation, I think, which is exempt from the general rules, and Heyman has pulled it back a little bit, but I think he's going to keep pushing in his own direction. Will they even have their own officials soon? I don't know, but last night, you are right, they were sort of referring to the belts more than they have in the previous 2 broadcasts.
Yeah, can I say on the belt, I mean, Al Heyman's the man in charge of PBC, and I mean, if he didn't care about the belt completely, he wouldn't have paid Billy Joe Saunders that step-aside money, would he? I mean, that's why they took the Lee fight originally, just to get that belt back.
Yep, and then to set up the unification with Danny Jacobs, and that plan went asunder, didn't it?
After last night, I have to say, I think Danny Jacobs makes easy work of either of those 2 guys. I mean, their work rate, their footwork and their work rate in general was kind of bad.
Yeah, but the work rate though, you can't really assess that because I mean, the thing is, when you have an orthodox versus a southpaw and you got 2 huge punchers, I mean, I wasn't sure about Quillin's power last night, but it's because he'd fought a lot of low-level guys, but it's real. And, I mean, he hurt Andy Lee pretty bad, like Steve was saying. And Andy Lee, hurt him, too, on a couple of occasions, and, of course, knocked him down as well. But I guess the point is that when you got the orthodox up, they're going to do that, the pawing and the trying to get the outside foot and all that stuff. But they have to be so cautious and so respectful of the other man's power, because with one shot, either one of them could lay the other one out. And, I mean, of course, the work rate's going to be down because you can't open up and throw combinations because you're going to get countered and you're going to get floored because those guys can really hit. So I think that the work rate might have been more of a consequence of the style matchup rather than, just them having low work rate in general.
I think both guys do have low work rate in general, though.
Sorry, I was going to say, regarding the belts, I agree with what you guys are saying about the belts, but sometimes Heyman, I could be wrong about this, but he strikes me as the type of guy who he operates almost if he's got an endless pot of money. Like, he wouldn't even think about paying step-aside money to somebody, just like he wouldn't think about shelling out way over the odds for his fighters to fight lesser opposition. He wouldn't think nothing of throwing out a load of money to get secure purse bids, like you got Durrell and DeGale or whatever. I'm going to make sure I get those bids no matter if I have to throw in hundreds of thousands of dollars over the odds. Seems like the type of guy who says, you know what, I've got a blank checkbook here, I'm just going to pay whatever to get what I want. I think he's got that mindset rather than, he's always thinking 2 steps ahead and he's willing to pay over the odds to get his way. But I think eventually he is looking to introduce his own belts.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's going to bring his own belts. And I think I saw a copy the other week there, actually. It was the old belt the $1 Million Man used to use in the WWF, That'll be the new title. Have we got Brian King on the call? Has he got his mic fixed? Brian, you there, mate?
Brian.
I think he's in Loch Ness.
He's having a wank.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there he is. How you doing, mate?
Can you hear me alright, aye?
Aye, where are you?
I'm on the running machine.
He's on his treadmill.
Alright, well...
Hard work, dedication, my man. TMT, boom!
Aye, PED as well. I'll tell you what, mate, keep listening. We'll no get you on while you're working out. I really don't know if you're running or just having a wank, so...
No, I'm serious. I'll take a wee cheeky selfie.
Aye, cheers.
I'll be on in about 10 minutes.
Right, no worries, mate.
Right.
But on the Lee Quillin fight, did you in the 3rd round? Would you guys have called that a knockdown? I mean, to me, from where I was sitting, it was clear it was a foot issue and a balance issue. The punch just kind of grazed his chest. I think he wasn't hurt at all. I don't think that was a legitimate knockdown.
It wasn't, and not only that, if one of the judges didn't call it, I mean, I think one of the judges took things into his own hands and said, well, Andy Lee was winning that round except for the knockdown, so he scored it a 10-9 in favor of Quillin instead of a 10-8, which is what every other judge scored it and what I think I would have scored it. But if he hadn't done that, that would have tipped the outcome of the fight. And I think that, while you could justify it and say, well, Andy Lee did win the round, generally speaking, and there was just a flash knockdown, you could say that. But, I mean, we all know that usually that's not the way boxing is scored. You really have to do a lot to fight your way back from a 10-8 and make it into a 10-9. You have to do a lot to overcome that, that knockdown point. So I think what he did was, I think he saw that it was a BS knockdown, and he used his discretion to call it a 10-9 round. But that actually tipped the fight.
Well, yeah, even if it is a legitimate knockdown, he wasn't hurt remotely, and I think he did stun Quillin twice in that round. So I think a 10-9 is definitely acceptable.
I didn't really have a problem with the knockdown. I thought that there were punches, they didn't land flush, but they did sort of land. I could see why the referee would have scored it a knockdown, but I also agree with what you were saying, Donny, in that I'm glad to see the judges sort of using their discretion, that if they didn't think it was a legitimate knockdown, they took the rest of the round into consideration as to what Lee was doing, rather than just saying, right, this is the blanket 10-8, regardless, these are the rules. I'm going to, they sort of took into account the way it wasn't a genuine knockdown maybe, so I think that was good too, but I didn't really have a problem with it.
Just on that card, I noticed one of Danny Garcia's previously mandatory contenders for his title. I think obviously Garcia is going to vacate at some point. Victor Postal had an 8-round decision win against Jake Garcia, and I think Errol Spence Jr. had a 4-round knockout against Samuel Vargas. Now, Alex, I think I'm just going to go right to you, mate, with this card in Leeds. I've seen a lot of funny comments, sarcastic, whatever way you want to see it, mate. I mean, I think people are saying that show, the whole thing about it last night, right down to the lighting, etc., was actually kind of cringe-worthy, but to be honest, I didn't really tune into many of the fights, mate. I know you did. Take it away and tell us what happened on that card. If you can be bothered,
I really can't be bothered, but apparently a lot of people were expecting me to actually watch it and have a good moan about this, so I actually went back and decided to watch some of the fights. I mean, I watched some of the early fights, the John O'Carroll one, and Jim Watt had a few choice things to say about that we'll be hearing later on in the Value of the Week section. Johnny Nelson really just put himself out there as being the biggest, most colossal dickhead on the Sky team with his little fake ring walk, where he decided to enact how Josh Warrington would walk his way to the ring and talk to various pissheads in the crowd who are all coked up and on all sorts of drugs and just dancing all over the place like knobheads. There was constant mention of the atmosphere. They seemed to have a quota to mention the atmosphere of the fight, which was just insane. The atmosphere was mental. It was like being in a bear pit of just full of absolute pissheads trying to break shit.
A den of iniquity.
Yeah, den of iniquity, a pit of just scum, basically lead scum, as the worst of it. They had to sort of, the cheap gimmicks that they were...
I've got relatives in Leeds, by the way.
Well, good for them. I hope they didn't go to that show, because,
Johnny Nelson's walk-in was absolutely fucking horrible.
Yeah, that was fucking horrible. I mean, the fact that they were resorting to those stupid little gimmicks and talking about the atmosphere and going back and forth about, going to Vinnie Jones, who played for Leeds Football Club for like one season, and he was walking out Josh Warrington as if he was some sort of Leeds legend. Is absolutely fucking ridiculous. They had to resort to these clown-like, circus-like nonsense just because the whole card was shit and wasn't actually any decent boxing. Imagine if there was a proper football game and at halftime, it cuts to Michael Owen doing a stand-up routine or something to cheer up the crowd. That's what Johnny Nelson was doing. There wasn't any incentive. There wasn't any need to impress the crowd there because they're all coked off their nut and not interested in the boxing anyway. It was just a fucking travesty. And to actually talk about the fight when there's a beach ball in the ring and a fucking 4-minute round and a 2-minute round because the fucking bell announcer can't hear feel how long the fight's been going on because there's too many fucking pissheads around him spilling beer. It's just a travesty, and someone's going to get fucking killed in one of those arenas.
We can only hope.
Leeds.
You finished, Alex?
Yeah, that'll do.
Steve, you got anything you want to say positive about that show? No, right.
But no, to be honest with you, I mean, Warrington's not the worst fighter in the world. I'll say that for him. But he's been sort of pushed along on this strange route, the same
Ricky
sort of
Hatton, mentality,
Yeah, that he's got these Leeds fans, obviously football fans, who like to go along. They go to the Leeds match or whatever match it is of a Saturday afternoon. They get tanked up and go along to the boxing, and they're not real sort of like boxing aficionados or anything. They just want to go and carry on and, like he says, throwing beach ball. I mean, I suppose the one saving grace is at least it was only beach balls flying into the ring. I mean, you've seen frigging bottles flying in the ring and everything in the past. So
stools and the ring against spikes
exactly,
all over.
Stools. That was all on the same night. But Warrington doesn't seem like a bad kid. I mean, as a fighter, he's decent. I think that gets overlooked sometimes, that they get pushed along this level, this intercontinental route, and he'll get thrown into a world title fight, whether it's against Selby, whether it's against somebody else, and he'll be overmatched, he'll get beaten, he'll pick up his paycheck or whatever, but it's not really his fault. Like I say, he's a decent boxer. He obviously can't punch for anything. We should have really got rid of that guy there. But he's been pushed along, and you can't really blame him. I suppose at the end of the day, Matchroom have spotted a niche. They're going to these places, Hull, Leeds, Manchester, whatever. They're taking Anthony Joshua with them. If they're selling out 8,000-10,000 arenas or whatever, then that's what they're going to do. You can't really blame them. And if Sky are on board with it, then it's got long. It will continue. I mean, Ricky Hatton had 15 odd defences, didn't he? That WB Youth strap. So they're sort of going the same sort of route, putting Warrington in against these no-hopers, and that's the business model that's working at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if Eddie Hearn had his own way, we'd be paying for 3 pay-per-views actually in the space of about a 3-month period. I'll tell you what, Matchroom really need to get their shit together actually, because some of the shows that's been on recently have been actually about deplorable. But as I say, I've been out of the country the last couple of weeks. What about this show? The Mitchell one, has that been confirmed as pay-per-view as well? Mitchell, Linares, etc.
Yeah, that's pay-per-view, isn't it?
Is that buy-on pay-per-view?
Yeah, that's been announced as pay-per-view now. That's the one with Kell Brook and Frankie Gavin on, isn't it? It's headliner on May the 30th.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Speaking of that, who's fighting even worse opponent than Amir Khan is? Cal Brook.
But there's, come on, Dave, you can't say that now. Come on, be honest. You can't say that. Brook's opponent.
I think you can.
You can't. How can you? You can't say that Brook's opponent is worse than Khan. Khan hasn't even got a fucking opponent.
Gavin should be a fucking lightweight.
Doesn't matter. What I'm
Khan's
saying is,
fighting Algieri or Broner. We know that much.
Hang on.
No.
Does Frankie Gavin have a victory over anybody of the caliber of Ruslan Provodnikov? No. Has he shared the ring with Pacquiao or Mayweather? No. He's lesser than that. Now, that doesn't mean that Amir Khan shouldn't have fought Brook. I already said that I thought he should have. I know that you guys are all surprised at that. I think he should have taken the fight, but nonetheless, the fact is, Kell Brook is fighting a lesser opponent than Amir Khan is.
But Khan's not got an opponent, that's what I'm saying. He hasn't got one signed, sealed and delivered. So at this present moment in time,
fighting nobody
got the
is
best
harder than
opponent.
fighting Gavin. That's exactly what it is. Fighting nobody's harder than fighting Gavin. Gavin's absolutely shit.
Hey, you may as well be fighting Bradley Skeet.
Oh, that's cold.
Would you have rather seen Kell Brook in against Leonard Bundu? I mean, I can see why they've picked Gavin.
Yes.
Well, I can see why they've picked
I'd rather
Gavin
see
though,
that.
at least because he's known, isn't he?
Bundu beat the shit out of Gavin.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if things work properly in the boxing world, Bundu would be getting the fight probably against Brook, you would say, but it's not a perfect world, is he? That's the way it happens. I remember flipping Scott Pemberton, whatever you call him, beating Omar Shaker, flipping out the ring, and it was Shaker who got the shot against Jeff Lacey next. The way things go, innit?
This is true. Had a caller on the line there, but he's had a lot of feed coming off him there, so just move on to the next card now. I've actually just lost my track now. I watched Yevgeny Kirtov go 8 rounds for the first time against Aaron Colley. Who was the other one? Oh, did anyone catch the card from Russia on Friday night? Denis Lebedev against Kalenga. But one particular fight I want to mention is Dmitry Krujizov against Francisco Palacios. Now, Palacios has actually went 24 rounds with Vidalchik, and probably even won the first fight against Vidalchik. Anyway, he got iced in the first round against me. It was actually a brutal left hook. Oh, it was evil, mate, wasn't it? 52 seconds of the first round. No one has done this to Francisco Palacios before, and this was absolutely just evil.
The guy looks like another Kovalev. I mean, he looks like he has crazy eyes, he's hairy, out of control face, and he looks mean. I mean, I'm kind of excited to see him again.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, you got Slavo on top of this guy, 17-0, 17 knockouts. It's under the name of the Russian Hammer, or that he fucking simply dropped the hammer last night. And it's looking like it, guys. And, we had Kyle on the show and Kurt's done pieces for boxing scene in the cruiserweight division. The Russians are looking like they're going to be dominating this division over the next 12 to 15 months, in my personal opinion, Alex.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, I was just saying that. Yeah, the Russians are really just sort of coming through now. Well, Eastern Europeans, should we say, because obviously a lot of the Ukrainians as well, with the Lomachenkos and that Usyk, I believe, is Ukrainian, isn't he? So, and those are the guys that we really need to be watching at the moment. And obviously, the cruiserweights are the best, really one of the best divisions to be watching at the moment. We saw this. I can't even pronounce his name properly. Kudryashev.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. I mean, yeah, he's got scary power, and if you're to believe everything we've seen and heard about Usyk as well, that he's even better technically as a boxer, and to see a clash with them eventually in the future would be amazing. Obviously, Kudryashev against some of the other heavy hitters, Hook, Lebedev. Obviously, we saw Lebedev's chin is one of the best in boxing, really. It'd be interesting to see if he could stand up against some of those punches. Obviously, we saw him against Kalenga, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit. It was a great fight as well. So the whole division is really sort of opening up. The higher weights certainly seem to be the biggest area for these Eastern Europeans to be coming through in. And it's the big Eastern Europe Russian takeover, isn't it? And,
yeah.
And America seemed to have been dominant for so years, and then it's almost like, I don't know, we should be fearing these Eastern Europeans because they're really bringing it. They're bringing a whole new level of sort of scary power and technical ability, and you can question that up with the drugs and so forth. But from what we've seen, you've just got to be very cautious.
Seen a question on the Mixler chat from Overbrove. Why was Lebedev dressed like a gay sailor at the end? He does this at the end of most fights. Why does he do that?
So did you have a relative or something that was actually a member of the Navy or something? I can't remember.
He
served.
Navy, wasn't he? Yeah.
It was him that served, aye, that's correct, aye.
It's just that's the gear that they wore, wasn't it? I guess.
Talking about maybe they call him Ivan Drago, Valery Brudov got stopped in 4 rounds against Rakim Chakekev. Now, that was a guy that Tony Bellew needed 12 rounds to dispatch. So that's a bit of a statement as well. But just talking about Denis Lebedev against Kalenga, that was a good fight. Another good wee classic fight in the cruiserweight division. 116-112, 115-112, and 115-113 for Lebedev. It says both men down. It's a kind of slow start to the fight. Actually, it was kind of really technical. It was some good boxing from Lebedev, and just basically made Kalenga look like what he was. It was very, very basic. Didn't really employ a jab. Constantly looking for the overhand right all the time.
He's not great. He's not great. Is he, Kalenga? To be fair,
That's about it.
Yeah, I didn't see this one. But what I would say is fair play. I'll give my props to my old sparring partner Gary Hyde. I know we've had disagreements in the past over things, but he's done well with Kalenga. Actually, to be fair, for all the fights that Rigondo can't get, he's got Ndama shot, and he's done okay with Kalenga, getting in that fight in Monte Carlo, and then keeping him busy in Dublin, and then getting him this shot. So he's done well by Kalenga for what he is, because Kalenga's not the greatest, so he has got him a few opportunities now, so I will commend him on that.
He's willing to travel, that's the thing to...
that's the thing, that's the all-important thing, especially these days. If you're willing to travel, you will get the opportunities, and those guys have to be road warriors, because they don't really have any natural bases.
Yeah, definitely. When I say that he was very basic, I think the first knockdown of Lebedev, actually, it was more a kind of... I don't know if it was more... I think it was more a balance issue, actually. I think the feet got tied up. And then, basically, as I says, I think then Lebedev dropped Kalenga something around about the 7th or 8th round, and just really kind of began to take control of the fight. I had it slightly wider. Donnie, I think you were watching the fight, mate. I don't know if it was you that seen the fight, but you had it slightly closer, am I right? Donnie?
Wait, which fight are you talking about?
Lebedev.
No, I missed that one. I saw the Celo Martinez one.
I seen, was it someone, Dave? Was it you, mate? I seen some of the Yanks actually seen this fight.
I didn't see Lebedev's fight, no.
I saw it, but I didn't really score it because we were recording a video at the time, so I couldn't really score it very well. But it was, it was a very entertaining fight, and all I saw was Kalenga just getting really tired after about 3 or 4 rounds, and really sort of gassing out and just winging in the big punches. He seemed, very wild and very, crude at times, unfortunately. But, it was...
Now, Alex, what kind of video were you recording at this time?
That's what I was going to say, but I didn't.
We were recording a lovely podcast video at the time, one of our daily news updates. So if you would like to go check those out, go to our YouTube page, Boxing Asylum. Please subscribe and like all of our videos.
I need to get involved in that. Olaf Alabi actually lost a rare interim title fight for the IBF title against Ramirez in Argentina. Now, I think that was also meant to be a good fight. I haven't seen a copy, I think, kicking around yet. There was one other fight, guys, we need to just very briefly touch upon before we move on. Roman Martinez, that's the one, Donnie. Now, I just very, very briefly kind of skip through this fight. You say, I think you caught the tail end of it, but Orlando Salido actually hurt in the 3rd round, dropped with a straight right hand to the body, and he was really, really, really shook up. He was down twice. I think he was down again in the 8th round. He did show a lot of heart coming down the stretch, particularly in the 12th round, but to be honest, I think Martinez did the cleaner work all night and deserved to reclaim the WBO super featherweight title. Give me your take on the fight.
Yeah, well, Salido's one of those sort of archetypal Mexican fighters. He started when he was 15 years old, took a bunch of losses early in his career because he learned on the job, and he's been a professional now, I think, for 18 or 19 years. And at those weights, that's already old. But at those weights, that is ancient. And the fact that he can still be competitive at, featherweight, super featherweight, is, to me, astounding. And he does it just on pure grit and pure heart. And he always takes some knockdowns. He takes knockdowns a lot, but he keeps coming. He's a tough bastard. And he gave Rocky Martinez a good fight. He tested him well, but I think in the end, Martinez had a lot less miles on him. He's younger, he was fresher, and that's a good weight for Martinez. And ultimately, it was enough for Martinez to win, and he looked good. And he used his boxing ability and punching ability. He hit Salido with some shots, as we said. He knocked him down twice, but but he was able to keep Celo off of him. I mean, Celo never stopped coming, but he would get stopped in his tracks by really, really good counters. As Celo would be trying to punch his way in. I was impressed with the performance. It was a good style matchup for Martinez, no doubt about that. I don't know, what his next fight might be and how he might look against other guys at the weight. But in general, I mean, Martinez looked better than he's looked in a while. It was an A-level fight, and he turned in an A-level performance.
He's really, I mean, if he does decide to retire now, I mean, it might be a smart decision, but he's really had an amazing career for his limited ability. Probably not least of which is, well, obviously the 2 fights against Juan Lopez, and then kind of capped it off with that win over giving Lomachenko his very first loss, which is obviously impressive and going to get more impressive as his career continues, I think.
How do you think he'll go down, though, as in memory? Because obviously he is... a lot of people don't like him. I know Brian has been talking to me about it during the week. He's a very dirty fighter. Obviously he's had the drug testing issues before, weight missing, very dirty fighter in the ring as well. Do you think that his exploits and the fact that he's a good... he's always in entertaining fights will precede the fact that he's a bit of a dirty bastard?
Yeah, I think that'll all be forgotten. He'll probably be forgotten. Sorry.
I don't think it's any Hall of Fame career, no, honestly. I mean, he had that good fight, that great fight last year, the fight of year's contender against the Thai fighter, Tersak.
Yeah,
and you say,
he had Wanma as well.
Yeah, same year actually, then obviously he beat down Orlando Cruz.
He fought Juan Manuel Marquez, didn't he?
Twice.
He fought him on the undercard of Hopkins de la Hoya. I remember that was about 10 years ago or whatever, and he was frigging awful in that fight, but he went the distance. But I just can't believe how long he's been going for.
Beat Juanma twice, stopped him twice as well, actually.
No, who did I say? No, Marquez. Juan Manuel Marquez, wasn't it? He fought him on the De La Hoya Hopkins undercard.
That's right, aye.
Yeah, I think so.
That's right. I think that's all the fights this week. It's good to get the action back up. Just diving right into the Twitter questions, actually. I've got a couple here about Billy Joe Saunders, as you know, probably relating to the Andy Lee fight last night. James Wade and Keith Smith are asking certain questions. Steve, you think Eubank Jr. has a better chance against Lee than Saunders down to styles? What do you think?
I think Eubank would be all wrong for Lee. I can just see him winging in those punches. He is quick, Eubank, for all his faults, and I think he'd be all wrong for Lee. I could see him stopping Lee. What was the other question?
The other one was... I've actually got...
Hang on, sorry. Have we really seen Eubank Jr.'s chin really checked yet? Because Andy Lee has an equalizer. He might lose every minute of 6 or 7 rounds, but have we really seen him take a kind of punch that Andy Lee can deliver?
Oh yeah, no, I'm going. Sorry, I was sort of that was a bit disingenuous actually, Donny. I'm going off the fact that I always base Lee. I talk about Lee with the sort of caveat in the background that he has the big punch to get him out. It doesn't matter how many rounds he's losing, he has that big punch. So I just use that as a given that if he catches Eubank, if he catches Eubank flush, I can see Eubank going. That's almost as a given with Lee's fights these days. He's such a big puncher. But if he doesn't catch her, then that's when he's in trouble, I think. Now, he pulled it out the fire last night because Quillin faded down the stretch. But if he didn't catch Eubank, I think he would be in trouble.
Eubank seems to start slow as well, though. That's the thing. I mean, Lee usually is a better fighter in the early rounds, I would say. I mean, he's been noted to fade down the stretch himself, so it's an interesting one. I think that Lee probably could catch him flush early, since Eubank is so slow to begin with, but if it went longer, I would fancy Eubank's chances a lot more.
And didn't Eubank get rocked? Didn't Eubank get rocked in his last fight by that Russian dude? I know he obviously dominated the fight eventually, but didn't he get rocked early?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, Mickey D's also asked as well, Lee Saunders will happen next. Who would you pick?
Me? Sorry?
Anyone.
I would pick Lee, I think. I'm not convinced by Saunders. I think I think Lee would beat Saunders. Saunders, talk about fading down the stretch, he fades down the stretch. I think, although I was surprised by Lee didn't go to the body more. You'd think against the likes of a Saunders, Lee would try and target the body because Saunders does tire, but Lee didn't really throw many body shots last night. I know he landed a good right hook to the body in one of the rounds, but with Quillin being supposedly tight at the weight, I thought he might target the body a little bit more, but he is more of a headhunter. I would back Lee to beat Saunders, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I would too. I mean, I guess in retrospect, Eubank Jr. looks a little bit more impressive after beating that, what was his name, Chudinov, the Russian guy. But, yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, to sort of sound like Bellew here, but I mean, Saunders took on, a 14-fight novice, somebody who hadn't fought anybody, right? And he got the victory, but it was close, and it wasn't, in my opinion, all that impressive. And Andy Lee has fought at a totally different level than Billy Joe Saunders. And, I mean, at the end of the day, Billy Joe Saunders beat a guy who was, really, I mean, he had not had experience at the top level yet. And he didn't even do it all that convincingly. I mean, that's Billy Joe Saunders' best win. And, I'd have to see more from him before I'd ever pick him to beat Andy Lee, in my opinion. Andy Lee seems to be consistently exceeding expectations in every fight. He knocked out Korbov. He knocked out Jackson. He came back, against Quillin after being down early and being hurt early, and came back against an undefeated fighter with good power and good amateur pedigree. I mean, he's fought those type of guys, and Saunders simply hasn't. And Lee's proven he can hang in there with the best. And to me, I think you'd have to be crazy to pick against Andy Lee right now. He might be looking better than he has before.
I'm just kind of worried the fact that he's got to keep doing it from behind all the time, actually. I just like to see him get on the front foot more and actually kind of like take command of a fight rather, because Steve, I think you also remember me discussing it way back when he had that warm-up fight back in Denmark. It didn't look great then either.
Yeah, no, he looked terrible. That, and he was talking about moving down to light middleweight around that, and he would look like an absolute skeleton. But that's the thing about Lee. That's what I was saying earlier about he's always been like a come from behind type of guy. He's a strange fighter. Even when he fought Afif Belgachan, that was another one in Limerick. He absolutely dominated this guy for 9 rounds. Belgachan barely threw a punch. Lee was in complete control. Then your man come on in the 10th round, nearly stopped Lee. Lee was all over the place. He's just such a strange fighter. I just can't explain the way he always looks like he's about to get hurt or about to get stopped. But he is a weird fighter.
Also, Keith's also asking again, so that's an interesting question. Does anyone think that Andy Lee will vacate the WBO title and rematch Quillin rather than face Saunders? Anyone think that's going to happen?
Depends on what kind of offer Heyman makes him.
Yeah, exactly. It depends how much he gets offered for the Quillin rematch compared to how much Frank can offer him.
Now, Rocco is asking, why the fuck? He always pushes this fight, actually. As Fighter A versus Fighter B talk is banned, I hope all talk of Fighter X versus Fighter Y, Brooke Garvin, will be too. No, because Brooke Garvin haven't been dancing around about each other for 6 fucking years.
Yeah, but on the same principle, no one really wants to fucking talk about it.
Well, no. But then you need to talk about it, but then you need to give him Fighter X versus Fighter Y.
Cal Brooks just been dancing around any significant opposition for 10 fucking years.
I think Rocco makes a good point here, Andy. I think we should ban all talk of Kell Brook, Frankie Gavin. I think he's right.
Okay, let's take a vote. Steve says yes. What do you think, guys?
Hey, I'm happy to talk about it as long as we're shitting on it.
Yeah, that's true. I like
that's
to hear Alex Morris hate on fights.
That's a no.
Part of the reason why I do that.
I agree with Hater Dave that we should talk about it only to hate on it.
Right, Donny, you might have the final vote here, mate.
Oh, yeah, I just talking about Kell Brook.
Yeah.
I just enjoy hearing Alex Morris shit on any matchroom card.
Okay, so we'll leave it as it is. Andrew Lee Evans is asking, ISIS torture chamber or Leeds Arena after Josh Warrington gets wiped out. Which one would you rather spend an hour in? Yeah, I'd rather take my chances in Leeds, because the ISIS bastards don't show you any mercy.
I don't know, them Leeds lot, you get battered with a beach ball and beer poured all over you and piss on you and...
Just take your BNP members card with you so you can whip it out just in case you ever get jumped. You can just go, I'm a brother.
Just say you hate Man United and you're all sorted.
Now, Felix is asking, guys, I never clocked it last night. I was watching, but I think by the time Garcia Peterson came on, it was 3 AM over here. I was watching the fight in double vision with beer goggles on, so basically Felix is asking, did Garcia really tell Peterson that he lost the fight last night? Did anyone catch that?
There was
Who knows? It's like an urban myth, I think that.
No, it was live. Some feed posted it and they kind of enhanced the microphone and it sounded like he did, let's say something when he says, I lost. They did say, it's on Shane Mosley's Twitter, but obviously he's a trolling bastard, so we don't know if it's serious or not. But, it's on his Twitter.
Yeah, okay. Shane was on the warpath today. I mean, last night he was adamant that Peterson won that fight, and he's like, "Look, I got proof. I turned up the volume," and he posted the clip. Yeah, I mean, I listened to it this morning. It sounded sort of like he said I lost, but it's kind of hard to tell.
All right.
Yeah, it's very.
Now, GLPA1 Alex is asking, when is Hearn going to stop this comical Ali act and finally admit that his shows have been shite for months on end?
Oh, he'll never admit.
And while we're at it as well, I'll actually put this one to you as well, is why do boxing fans only buy Sky Sports with one card a month and poor shows when Box Nation show a card a week and it's £12?
Well, answering that one about the Box Nation thing, I think that I've answered it before, or alluded to it, that it's ignorance really. A lot of people just don't know Box Nation's there. Excuse me. They don't know that, that channel is at the back of the, of the listings. They don't realise it's there and it shows boxing. And if they were sort of a casual fan who's interested in watching a few good fights now and then, they wouldn't notice that that's there. And, watching that might turn them on to watching more good fights. But rather, instead, they're treating to the shower of shit that we usually see on Sky every other week, with the Leeds show and the Newcastle muck and the fucking whole mess that they get. It's going to turn them off, because all they're going to see are these atrocious mismatches and Johnny Nelson pouncing down the ring walk like a fucking mong, and the Leeds crowd going mental. So, Box Nation should be getting a lot more promotion. And, to be fair, Box Nation, their domestic shows have been fucking god awful as well lately, so let's not forget to shit on Frank now and then. Frank does provide the international content, but he didn't show the fucking Russian card this week, which pissed me off. But
why was that, Alex? Why do you think that was?
Because Frank's a knob.
Oh.
Wait,
is that the official verdict?
Yeah, I asked him and he said, "Oh, it's because I'm a knob."
That's what Ricky Bunn said about him as well.
that was an actual quote.
Wait,
can I ask a quick question?
No, what?
No, I was just gonna say, isn't it the case that in order to watch the Premier League, you need to have Sky Sports?
Depends really. I mean, if you get the normal Sky Sports, I think you get the first 2 sports channels free, but you've then got the upgrade for the other. I think there's around 4 or 5 of them there, So they could actually just put the game on a different channel higher up, and you've got to go and pay for it.
That's why, though, Donny, isn't it? Because Box Nation, it's niche, it's hardcore, it's for the guys who want to watch boxing all the time. Whereas Sky, the guys who are paying for the football or whatever else, that they're saying, the fight's on tonight, I might as well watch the boxing. They're not subscribing necessarily for the boxing.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like if you have a niche channel and it's all about one thing, well, that's great, but you're limiting yourself. But I was going to say, if people are really crazy about Premier League or whatever, then they're going to get that package, and then as they're doing that for that purpose or whatever, then they're able to get sold on watching other fights on the channel, and then also potentially paying for.
This is exactly why Hearn is targeting the football fans constantly. He's always attracting the football fan interest and appealing to local football grounds and local football teams. Like with the Leeds lot, they are purely a big football city. That they love their team and that's what they're all about. And he goes to Hull, it's exactly the same. They go to Newcastle, it's exactly the same. They appeal to the football fan mass interest because they know that's the main target audience of Sky Sports, and they've got that promotional backing, and they link always to it. And it's smart of him. It brings in absolute dickheads who aren't interested in the sport itself. They're just interested in they go to the football during the day, in the afternoon, and then they go to the boxing in the evening, and just stay drunk throughout the whole day, and they have a right good time. It doesn't help promote the sport because it just encourages Han to put on shit shows because he knows he doesn't have to put on anything good because people will turn up anyway.
Yeah, exactly, and they're putting on poor fare because, I mean, at the end of the day, we all love the sport, but people probably aren't going to be ringing up. If people are ringing up and saying, the boxing's shit, I want to cancel my Sky Sports, the amount of boxing fans that, as people are subscribing just solely for the boxing is that minimal. They can say, we can just chuck anything on the boxing show, who cares? Because most of it is crossover from the football, people who are subscribing for the football. Exactly. So, if people are complaining that the boxing's bad, they just say, we'll jog on to somewhere else then.
I phoned up Sky and cancelled it because he Jim Watt and ended up giving me about 6 months for nothing because I freaked out on the phone and says I fucking hated him and I wasn't wanting Sky anymore because of him and then they gave us a deal. So I encourage everybody to phone up.
Next question from Jack. Campbell versus Coyle was one of the most one-sided stadium fights in UK history. How do you think Selby versus Warrington goes? Funny enough, actually, when you mentioned, Alex, about Selby beating Gradovic and facing Warrington after that, immediately I was starting to think about Campbell versus Coyle.
But that's exactly what they're planning to do, isn't it? They're the fact that they had Lee Selby ringside as well last night for the Leeds broadcast, they're obviously trying to G that up. And when they were asking Selby about, a potential rivalry, trying to build up any sort of angst or, anger between them, and Lee wasn't having any of it, really. So, and most observers would say that Selby is levels above him, and Warrington, he's a good fighter. I like Warrington. He's a good European level fighter, but I think that will be his limit. Whereas Selby, I do think he beats Gradovic, and if he beats Warrington in Leeds, it's going to be a fucking massive riot. So Hearn's going to have to deal with that. I don't think it's as big as a mismatch as Campbell Coyle though.
Alex, what title was it that Warrington won? Sort of some spurious international. Which governing body was that?
WBC, I think it was.
Yeah. WBC at featherweight, is that?
Yeah, it's Gary Russell's, isn't it?
It's Russell, yeah, Gary Russell.
Next question, Donny. Where are we here? Yep. Kasim's asking, what dictates a fighter going into the Hall of Fame, and who do you think deserves a place but has not been included?
Wait, that's not been what?
Included.
Who hasn't been included? I'd put Chris Eubank in.
Junior.
not Junior.
Over Nigel Ben.
Yeah, I think he has a good case too. Who else would I put in? I'd like to see. Trying to think. Mickey Ward. Well, I'm not saying Mickey Ward. I'm not saying him, but I was just going to say I was at the Connecticut Boxing Hall of Fame dinner, and Mickey Ward spoke. He was inducted into the Connecticut Boxing Hall of Fame because his first fight with Arturo Gatti was in Connecticut, and that's part of the criterion is have you done something significant in boxing in the state of Connecticut? So that's how you get in. So, anyways, they brought him. They inducted him, and he said that the one guy he thought that he would, belonged in the Hall of Fame that wasn't there yet was someone who was also there at the dinner, also another Connecticut guy. He was from Hartford, but Marlon Starling. If you look back at his resume, he has a pretty
good fighter.
Good fighter, and he has a good resume of achievements. And he said, if there's anybody right now in the Hall of Fame who should be in, who isn't in, I think that he'd be my pick. So I'll defer to Mickey Ward's judgment, and I'll go with Marlon Starling.
Okay. Dave, you'll love this question. Do you think Andre Ward will fight in the UK, or Paul Smith going to have to go to Oakland? Because it's an easy fight for him, so why not come to the UK?
Is it really going to be Paul Smith?
Well, he was getting mentioned there tail end of last week that he's been considered anyway, put it that way.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for what Ward does in the ring, but I really think he should go to the UK. I think he should go to the UK and fight Froch, but we'll see. I do not believe that will happen. I think he's going to have Paul Smith or Froch or whoever is going to come to Oakland.
They stripped Froch, didn't they?
Yeah.
So there's no point to it now, yeah.
But doesn't he still have one belt?
No, IBF stripped him as well, or he vacated that title.
when he ducked to Gale.
Basically, Frotch is waiting to see what happens next weekend by Chavez and Fanfara, actually, so... That being the case, Billy McGann's asking Steve, after Campbell, Coyle and Warrington Selby, what fake rivalry will Sky try to build up next?
It's a good question. I suppose you could throw in... Would you class Bellew Cleverly? Would that be harsh, clashing Bellew Cleverly? I know that the rivalry was sort of built up a little bit on Box Nation, where the animosity started. But the second one, it was contrived second time around big time, wasn't it?
I think what they'll really do is they're going to really start pushing Groves the Gale at some point as well.
Well, I suppose that's another one that has history, to be fair. I wouldn't hold Groves de Gale against him. I wouldn't even maybe hold Bellew Cleverly because, like I said, they'd already had one fight and it was brewing beforehand. Coyle Campbell and the other one you mentioned, Warrington Selby, there's no justification for either of them. But then again, I suppose if they've got the market, they'll push it.
What about a real rivalry, like where there actually does seem to be some genuine bad blood, like Anthony Joshua and Dillian White?
Oh, well, you see, there's a good point, Donny. And that one, they don't seem keen on making it.
Yeah, because Dillian White isn't with Eddie Hearn, that's why.
Yeah, but they could drag him in quick enough. I don't think he's with anybody, is he?
Yeah, he's with some small promoter, I'm sure.
Oh, no, but I don't think that's the reason she's with Steve Goodwin, who is part of this Fight Pass thing. So, and Eddie, I'm sure if the money came available and it was a chance of Joshua and White fighting on a huge card, there's no way the likes of Steve Goodwin would stand in the way. I don't think that's the reason why it's not happening.
They need to build that up. I mean, that's a good fight, and, there's some history. Like, I remember that when Tyson fought, who was the guy that beat him in the Olympic trials? Was it Tillis? No, not Tillis.
No, Snelden.
No, it was, who was it?
Jesus. Biggs. No. Was it?
Freak.
Could have driven me nuts.
Yeah,
I
Henry Tillman.
Yeah. Exactly. So when he fought him, that was like a big thing that was built up. And apparently, I guess, he had insulted Tyson in the airport. Like someone saw Tyson with the USA Olympic gear on, because Tyson was an alternate on the team, in case anything happened. And so someone said, good luck to him. And I guess someone said, don't worry about it. He's not actually fighting. I am, or something. So I guess Tyson held it against him for years. And, it made the match when they were professionals much bigger. And in the same way, White in his, early in his professional career, he knocked him out, right? He knocked out.
Yeah, he did. He knocked him out. And there was the Mitch Green rivalry as well. That was a good one, wasn't it? In Brookline, sure, they were
smashed him in the street one night.
And everything, yeah. Mitch Green always wanted that fight again, didn't he? Years later, he wanted another scrap with him. That was proper rivalries, though, but these ones are just completely contrived. I mean, Coyle and Campbell don't even seem to dislike each other. They're obviously whispering in the ear and saying, say something about him. They seem to be friendly enough. They've sparred together in the past. I don't think it's even a rivalry. And Selby and Warrington, I mean, Selby's Welsh, Warrington's from Leeds. The only rivalry they have is that they're in the same promoter at the same weight.
Apparently all the real rivalries, the legitimate ones, don't happen in this sport anymore. Like, for instance, Frampton against Quigg.
Yeah,
that's going to happen. It's 100% going to happen.
Well, I hope so. It's not I'm starting to lose faith in that one now.
No, I think something will get done in the next week or so.
Hopefully.
I have faith, and I'm never positive about anything.
Like Alex. Just while I've got you on there, Brian, Andy Lee versus Matt Murray, does that fight interest you in any way?
Murray's had his chance, so hasn't he? He's had 3 world title shots. As much as the people might shit on Saunders, though, he's fucking turned down his money, hasn't he? He deserves his shot. Murray said he was going up to super middleweight as well, but is he going to hang about again because somebody else has got a belt?
Possibly.
It could be a decent fight, I suppose. Murray's quite tough, but no, fuck that. Get somebody else in. Get Barker back. Get him fucking done again after the loss he took on Twitter.
Donny, your girlfriend Aisha's asking if what do you make of Chino calling out Danny Gift Garcia there last night, and what do you think of the match?
I like that.
Danny Gift Garcia.
That's a good little moniker right there. What do I think about it? I think that Garcia will avoid it, and I don't think that Keith Thurman is an Al Heyman priority. Well, I mean, all right, maybe I shouldn't say that because he did, after all, give him $2 million or whatever it was to fight Guerrero or whatever. But the point is that these guys need these enormous paydays to get in the ring with Keith Thurman because nobody wants to fight him. So, I mean, if Al Heyman wants to push all of his chips in on Keith Thurman, he can do that, but it's going to cost him a lot. You know what I mean? His fighters don't want to fight them and stuff, and he's got other guys that are bigger stars. Like Garcia is a budding star, and he's a good ticket seller, and people tune in to watch him fight. Fucking even I think the Salka fight did incredible ratings on Showtime. Actually, like for as shitty as it was, it actually got, I think, one of the best ratings of the year on Showtime. And that just shows you that Danny Garcia is an attraction, and I don't see him pushing him up to 147 in his first fight or two at the weight to get blasted by Keith Thurman. I mean, I just don't see it happening. That fight will never happen. I mean, maybe it'll happen at some point, but not anytime in the near future.
But what about Maidana, which was like the question? Like Maidana's been calling him out.
I thought the question was Thurman called out Garcia.
No, Chino called out Garcia.
Oh, Chino called him out. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the question. I'm sorry. Oh, I could see that fight happening. Yeah, sure. That'd be exciting.
Well, Danny Garcia said it's only going to happen if he comes down to 144. I mean,
the Danny
weight.
weight.
Kidding?
Danny
no,
weight.
that's exactly what he says.
Danny weight.
Huh?
Danny, he's like Canelo now. He fights at like a middle range. Like, what the fuck is that? Like,
well, that's
must be over
two of the house
200 pounds
fighters.
at the moment, though. I mean, fucking hell.
Yeah, Maidana's like a.
That's two house fighters now failed to make weight. I mean, remember Cloner? He was meant to make 140, and then he couldn't make the weight, and then miraculously that +1 came up in the contract, just by the grace of God.
If we can't get Garcia versus Khan or Broner versus Khan, both of which I think are good fights, Garcia versus Broner is a good fight, and I think everyone would like to see that. And that's just a question of who do you like less.
Well, Donnie, just coming in to talk about the catchweights, Carl Stones is asking, do you think Quillin came in intentionally overweight because Al and the PBC don't want belts and they are the king of catchweights?
All right, everybody put on your tinfoil hat. It's conspiracy time.
Right, okay, take it away.
No, I don't think the man went and fucking vomited his guts out and took off 1.5 pounds after he'd already sweated off everything he could sweat off. I don't think he did that for fun. I mean, I think he genuinely wanted to win that title, and it would have set him up for a payday with a really good fight with Danny Jacobs. So I don't think that was intentional at all. He was lucky that in that fight, as was said earlier, it didn't necessarily require a good work rate. So Andy Lee didn't really take advantage or have the opportunity to take advantage of the fact that he was probably a little bit spent from taking off those pounds. And since the fight had a slow pace, he was able to get through the 12 rounds. But I don't think that was intentional at all. I think he would have loved to have that title because it would have set him up for bigger and better.
I've got one final question coming in from Michael Hederick. I'll just go through everyone very briefly. What is the worst fight you've ever had to set your alarm for, woken up in the middle of the night to watch? Mine is probably Jones versus Hopkins 2. Fucking hell.
I've got Hopkins as well, actually. Hopkins.
I always remember Kurt staying up for, who was it? Was it Ishii Smith against someone? Who the fuck was it?
Fuck's sake.
Ishii Smith and honestly forget. Was it Sergio Mora? I think it was that one anyway.
He deserves all he gets for staying up for that.
I can see why Kurt does. Very, very, very rarely stays up during the small hours to watch fights now. That fight just broke his will.
Yeah, I think I was up for Hopkins Dawson 1, wasn't it? The one that he threw him down and ended in
Bradley Alexander. That was shit.
I fucking watched that one as well. Yeah, that one was awful.
The one with 5,000 crowding inside the 95,000 capacity stadium in Detroit. My fucking word.
Mine's a Bernard Hopkins one as well, back in the early days of Setanta. I think it was even before the main Setanta started, they did a pay-per-view, and it was Bernard Hopkins against Murad Hakkar. And Tua Rahman 2, I think, was on the undercard. That was one I got up for.
Steve, I think you better go and get your wife a wee hand out there, mate.
No, that was back in the day. I don't stay up for them anymore.
No, what I'm saying is, I can hear the Bern in the background crying.
Oh yes. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Go and tell her to be quiet.
You can tell her.
Hey, any other questions, guys, kicking around? I think that was the last one.
Wait, what was the last fight David Tua was in?
It was quite recent, wasn't it?
Shane Cameron one, no?
It was Sherman Williams, no?
No, it was somebody else. I thought it was like a younger guy.
Yeah, he came back, didn't he, for like, I think it was like a pay-per-view or something in New Zealand or something, but...
Yeah. Fuck, I can't remember.
Ustinov.
Yeah, he fought Ustinov,
he lost every single round against Ustinov, yeah, I remember that.
He did, yeah. I got up and watched that at some obscene hour of the morning, so...
That was fucking awful, that was.
Tua against Lennox Lewis as well, do you remember that one? That was another one I remember staying up for. Friggin' hell, Lennox just jabbed the head off and that fat shit Tua barely even landed a flipping...
Lewis Akabandi. That was fucking brutal.
Oh, that was bad.
Tua Lewis was like, that was the first pay-per-view that I ever like bought on my own. I was like in high school, and my dad wasn't around that particular weekend, and so I remember I went over to my friend's house and we like plunked down for it. We got a pizza, and like we were like, we were both rooting for Tua, and we were like, fuck, like.
As a whole, though, the worst pay-per-view as a whole, every fight on the card. I remember buying and staying up for Mike Tyson, Clifford Etienne, and that was one terrible card. I can't believe I even paid for it. The main event was bad enough, but the undercard was absolute pish, as you would say, Andy.
Absolutely turgid. Verbal diarrhea.
Absolute brutal pish.
Okay, what's the value?
Now you fucking rat!
Okay, what's the value of the week?
Now, as you know, I've been quite busy, so I've not got any nominations myself, so I'm going to have to rely on you guys. Alex, I know is going to have some comedy moments here from last night's Sky show, and the rest of the guys to weigh in. Alex, take it away.
It's one I mentioned before the show. It was Jim Watt during the John O'Carroll fight, comparing John O'Carroll to a young Manny Pacquiao.
Painful.
What's wrong with that?
Well, how young? What, 12-year-old Manny Pacquiao? I'm trying to think of other ones, real specific ones. Just Johnny Nelson's whole pantomime little ring walk nonsense bullshit, interviewing the crowd bollocks was just... The whole lead show really should be nominated. It was just fucking god-awful.
Ed Draper saying fucking Anthony Joshua's got massive charisma. That's another fucking one. Ed Draper saying that Leeds was a massive night of boxing. I hate that guy. He is an absolute cunt, that boy, that Ed Draper, on that podcast.
So we got Ed Draper, Donny, Dave, and Steve. You getting nominations, guys?
I have one on Twitter. I can't even remember who the guy is, but I'm sure, Alex, you probably saw him as well. He said beforehand that Warrington is going to be bigger than Hatton. And then he had a whole big stream of conversation below, arguing with people, and it descended into football chat, really. But he tagged in Eddie Hearn with him, as sort of like an ally, like he brought his mate along with him to the fight. And people going, Hatton took 10, 20, 30,000, whatever, to Las Vegas, blah, 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 and he was arguing the case, and then he just resorted to putting up, we're Leeds United, we don't care, all this type of stuff. So, yeah, I nominated him.
I got two good ones.
Okay.
All right. My first one is, I believe Dan Rayfield last night. And this is, by the way, thanks to one of our Twitter followers. I don't remember who, but if you
probably Aisha. That's all you talk to on Twitter nowadays.
Love. No, it's.
I love you, Aisha. I love you.
So cute.
No, there was somebody who tweeted this into us, but anyways, Dan Rayfield had it 117-110 for Quillin last night.
116-110.
116-110. Still a piss poor score. All right, that's pretty bad. And then another, my personal favorite. This one's from me. So Chavez Jr. apparently gave an interview to Boxing Scene, whereby he said that Golovkin really needs to start taking some challenges, and he needs to move up to 168. Now, if you duck a guy and you're offered $8 million, and then you tell him that he's a pussy and he's not moving up to, he tried to move up to 168 to fight you, and you ducked. So he didn't move up to 168. Like, that's just, to me, that's just ridiculous. So Chavez is my nomination.
Apparently, on the subject of Golovkin, Teddy Atlas said recently that Golovkin needs to test himself in the division, and the person he needs to test himself against is Peter Quillin. So, yeah.
I'm telling you, Golovkin would lay him out. I really do believe it. It's sad to say.
Teddy Atlas.
I'd like to see that shit on pay-per-view. I tell you that.
It's sad to see that last night. That's Peter Quillin's step up in class so far. That was his best opponent thus far. His ass needs a test, and Golovkin is a litmus test for him, and he's just going to basically vaporise him.
Quillin's been around for ages, hasn't he, when you think about it? I remember him being a hot prospect in boxing news in, 2008? 2009, something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, we're forgetting the big one. The ridiculous check stunt from Eddie Hearn.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, yeah, the £1.5 million check made payable to Carol Frampton, which is probably not meant to be made payable to him. It's probably made payable to some company abroad, and I don't know, Bermuda somewhere, etc. So, very presumptuous by Mr. Hearn.
It was just very cringe way with, you can offer him a check, you can go on the news and say, I'm going to give you the money, but it's the fact he stood there with
Scott Quigg looking like a Cheshire cat, he must have felt like a right prick standing there, like a £1.5 million check, he'd probably look if he makes 300,000.
Yeah, exactly, he looked like a fucking special needs kid, except in the charity.
I love Lamp.
He looked just so bad, and they had like reporters there and everything, all just like ready to take pictures of the check. And you expected them to wheel out this massive check, like one of those big comical ones you see on, like, I don't know, Children in Need or something. It was just embarrassing.
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing was absolutely embarrassing, and they should feel ashamed of themselves.
These guys aren't good enough to face Carl Frampton.
Steve, you got anything, mate?
No, just that one off the Twitter, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie Hearn came out and says that Gradovic and Selby couldn't happen without pay-per-view. Like, that didn't mention anything else, that fight alone. And also Spencer Fearn went on about Anthony Joshua for 5 minutes, talking about how great he's going to be. He's legit, he's a future world champion, he's this, he's that.
Did they mention that it was his friend as well, did they mention that I love Anthony Joshua? Let me be real, brother. Let me be real with you.
He's my bro. But then he switched on to Beterbiev and turned around and says people need to come out with this hype. He's not been challenged yet. What the fuck are you talking about, you crazy bastard?
Fucking brilliant. So that's Spencer Fearon, Brian. Who else you putting up, mate?
Eddie Hearn and that
Eddie Hearn.
fucker Ed Draper. Cunt.
Right, Ed Draper, Eddie Hearn, and Spencer Fearon. Alex, you're putting up Jim Watt. Who else?
I want to put up a guy who was sitting behind me during Lee Quillin. He was a Quillin fan, a Brooklynite, and first round he starts screaming "Brooklyn, Brooklyn" when Lee goes down. Then in the 6th, 7th round, whichever round it was, right before Lee dropped him, he's like, "Watch this." He had his friend next to him. He's like, "Watch this, watch this, watch this." Kid Chocolate going to put him to sleep right now, and then immediately then. Quillin gets put on his knees. It was just funny to me.
That's like a letting out of the cage one, isn't it? That.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, vote time. Alex, who are you voting for?
No, we've got one more nomination. I mentioned it earlier, actually. Someone nominated Dave for saying that Danny Jacobs easily beats Peter Quillin and Andy Lee.
Just same night, just watch.
So the nominations are following. We've got David Loback, Dave the Hater, Eddie Hearn, Spencer Fearon, Ed Draper, Jim Watt, Johnny Nelson for acting like a fucking monktard, Terry Atlas. So
And Chavez.
Chavez, sorry. Yes, thank you, Donny. So Alex, give me your vote, mate.
I might seem like a bit of a hater here, but I have to give it to Eddie Hearn for his.
Go on, son.
Brian, you'll be voting for Eddie, I take it.
I voted for him yesterday.
Good. Dave?
I'm going to vote for Johnny Nelson. I mean, it's been a long time coming that he needs this award. He does so much stupid shit. He's always talking absolute nonsense. And this is just sort of a compilation of all his antics. So I'm voting for Johnny Nelson.
Donnie? 2-1.
I got to give it to Eddie Hearn, too. The best part is, to me, you put a check out there for that amount, and your fighter ain't getting paid anywhere near that. And then you use him as a pawn to hold the check up. To me, that is absolute value of the week material.
Okay, Steve, you sound like you're going to be in agreement with that.
You know what? I was gonna, but I'm actually gonna go for Spencer Fearon for his services to bullshit talking because I like that one. I think Spencer needs a nomination.
Keep it real, bro. Keep it real. Keep it real.
Going at it this morning with Barry Jones. If he started getting cheeky with him, I was going to lay him out in Vegas. I hear that Spencer Fearon.
What was he saying to Jones?
Oh, somebody added the two of them this morning, says who's got the best podcast, and obviously Spencer Fearon started getting bitchy because Buncey's abusing their podcast every week, and Barry was basically just saying, I don't get involved in anything like that, I keep out it, and like Spencer's like, oh, I'm comfortable in my own skin, and Barry's like, didn't he say that, about that, and it just started getting weird. I was like, the fuck?
So this is why science is training.
Yeah, well, I'm voting for Eddie Hearn, and that being the case as well, it just means that Eddie Hearn again has won the Billy of the Week award.
What a cunt.
He's a unified champion now.
Is he coming back on now?
I've been asking him, I've been texting him, he's not responding.
I wonder why.
Well done, Eddie. Well done. I mean, it's been a poor year for you. We're all feeling for you. I mean, just accept it.
At least he's winning something, eh?
I still like Eddie.
I like Eddie a lot. I mean, I respect the hell out of him for coming on to this show and for, going toe to toe with some people that weren't too pleased about that Bellevue Cleverly pay-per-view. I mean,
Donnie out.
Anyway, guys, fight schedule for next week. Next Thursday, Shinjuku Yamanaka is back in the ring against Diego Ricardo Santillan. He's defending his WBC bantamweight title. Now, nothing on the Friday night, but we have got a shitload of cards spread over different arenas on the Saturday. We've got Terence Crawford against Thomas Delorme fighting in Texas. We've got a card from, where else we got? New York, Matisse against Provodnikov, which we'll discuss. That's just boxing hardcore porn right there for us. Chavez Jr. we mentioned against Fanfara in California. Derry Matthews will face Ismael Barroso. I think it's some sort of interim title fight. And Ian Butcher, who me and Alex spoke to, is fighting for the British title against Luke Wilton at flyweight on the Box Nation card. And I think that's basically it. So I don't know who's going to be in attendance for this fight, Donnie or Dave, he's going to attempt to go to Matisse Provodnikov next Saturday.
I looked into it already. Couldn't make it. It was sold out.
I have finals in 2 weeks. I couldn't go either. I did toy with it in the beginning. I originally thought like, oh, maybe I can get a ringside seat because they were so inexpensive, but that was a sham. I mean, those were all sold. I went on it like literally the second.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that. Aye.
Yeah.
So when's BA going to get us some press passes to go to these events?
Apply for them.
Hey, I used to get them all the time, but I haven't been able to cover fights recently. I've been too busy. But I mean, I was going to everything on the East Coast there for a couple of years. Unfortunately,
Pussy got in the way. Anyways, Pussy got in the way. Brian.
No, law school got in the way, Andy.
We've probably offended the promoters anyway. They pretty much
I know. I tell you, Lode Bell was meant to leave behind 2 tickets for me for his last New York show. For Spike with Sullivan on it. He never done it, the bastard.
He didn't?
I texted him down and tell him he's a prick for doing that. But anyway, Brian, next week, mate, Boxing Hardcore Pawn returns to your screens. Provodnikov, Matisse. I take it you're up for this fight. Give me a take. Are you going to side with Matisse or Provodnikov? Just too strong for him?
I'm not a fan of Provodnikov. I don't particularly like him. I think he's he's just a pure fucking dumb thug, isn't he? He just kind of wades in there. Like, you watched him against Algieri and he was absolute garbage. I'm just hoping Matisse fucking straightens him clean out. But there'll be a good fight. I mean, he's just going to come forward, isn't he, and just kind of sort of swing bombs. But I'm hoping that Matisse wins.
Well, I mean, are you really saying that Matisse is that much more sophisticated than Provodnikov?
Provodnikov's definitely got the sturdier chin anyway, put it that way.
He's got a better chin, but honestly, kind of just watching him, it's... I'm not too particularly into fucking daft brawlers like that. That's not really my scene.
No, you're into Floyd Mayweather and all that fucking ill.
I like boxers, man. But see people that don't even attempt to use a jab. I can't go sit and watch it. See last night when I was watching the Lee fight and nobody was throwing a jab and they end up getting punched in the fucking face full force and all that. I was like, if you kind of use your jab at when it's bad, Provodnikov doesn't use nothing other than his head. But it'll be a good fight, right enough. It'll be a pure war, won't it? Some cunt's going to die in that ring.
Matisse does have a decent jab, though. His jab is what turned the fight totally around against
Molina. Yeah.
See, I think
that
fan, so that's how it all started. Like, I like people that kind of use the jab, and that's how I kind of get into boxing. Like, just kind of watching people like that. But watching Provodnikov, man, the guy's just a pure fucking animal. He just kind of he blocks punches with his face, doesn't he?
But I mean, can you really is the Bradley fight really that distant in our memory? I mean, can we forget that he took a pound for pound guy to the absolute limit and nearly beat him? I mean, it was a couple of years ago, granted, but I mean, at the end of the day, like that's the toughest test that Tim Bradley's ever had, and I mean that's
the two of them have never been the same since.
And you could argue that he hasn't been the same since, absolutely. Although he does have Tim Bradley does have the Marquez win in there. I mean, that's pretty good. But I mean, to me, like, I don't think you can discount Provodnikov's skill. I think that Algieri's movement is really just underrated, and I think that for Provodnikov, in a way, Algieri might have actually been a tougher fight than Tim Bradley because of the style matchup that it presented. For a different style of fighter, I think pound for pound, against any old style, obviously Tim Bradley is light years ahead of Chris Algieri, but for Provodnikov's style, that Algieri style is very, very bad.
I quite like Algieri though. I'm not one of these haters that because he's not got a bit of power about him. I don't bother about watching him. I think he's alright. I don't think the Khan fight's great and all that, but he's definitely better than Gavin, so
Dave,
I don't really hate on him.
Dave, I was going to say, I mean, you mentioned that, Matisse did box pretty well against John Molina at times, and that's what turned the fight, especially the jab and that. Do you think he's maybe got just slight too much ring savvy for Provodnikov?
I'm really pulling for the machine in this fight, because I think he's the underdog among like purists. Like, they think that Provodnikov is just going to be too much man for him, which is definitely a possibility. I mean, Matisse did get great when he was getting dropped by Molina, a guy who friggin' Adrian Broner didn't barely get touched by. So, but I think Matisse is more technically skilled than Provodnikov. I think he does hit slightly harder. I think he's just a sharper puncher with his straight shots. I think he's got the range advantage. But, it's going to come down to heart at some point. Because it's a 12-round fight, and two massive punchers and one of whom doesn't go anywhere. So, I think Matisse is going to have to hurt him to win this fight. Have to hurt him, drop him, or stop him.
Yeah, I think he needs to do it early as well, because if he is in there still after 6 rounds and Vodnikov's still coming, I think that's where he's going to take over. I think if Matisse is going to win, he's got to do it with stoppage, but I just don't see it. I think his power is real, but I just don't think he's going to dent that chin of Provodnikov. And the fact is, with the fights at maybe 140, I could maybe see Matisse being stronger, maybe quicker for him, but at the same time as I think Matisse is quite a small guy as well, so Provodnikov's fought up at welterweight, so size-wise, I've got to give it to Vodnikov. But I'm going to go with Dave. I'm going to side with the machine. I think Matisse could probably do it.
I
Steve?
hope for the sake of Golden Boy Promotions that he does win, because they've hardly got Andy, and I like Oscar, so I hope Lucas Matisse wins. Get up. A knockout, good on you.
Yes, I'm going to go with Provodnikov. I don't see how this could not be anything but a brilliant fight. I am really looking forward to this one. I think both guys have been overrated at times in the past, but that doesn't mean that the styles won't gel. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. And Matisse may be slightly the better boxer, but not on a great level. I can see him maybe having success, but I just see Provodnikov just constantly walking him down, and I think Matisse is maybe a little bit fragile in the chin department. I'll go for it. I'm wondering if Provodnikov might stop him late on.
Okay. Alex?
I agree with a lot of what's been said, really. I think that Matisse is probably the better technician, the better boxer, but not really noticeably better, but not really enough to really make an effect. I think this is going to be one of those fights that really does boil down to heart and really boils down to the grit and determination of what's going to make the difference here, because Provodnikov's not going to stop. Provodnikov is going to be absolutely relentless, and unless Matisse really bangs in one really big shot and lays him out, then I think that he's just going to keep on coming forwards, and Matisse will probably tire towards the end, and we know that Provodnikov really doesn't tire. He just keeps going, and he keeps winging into punches, and he keeps going, and I think that Matisse will try and box him. I think that he will be a bit more cautious maybe, and as much as we all want to see a war, and it probably will devolve into a war, that I think Matisse's better chances are to box, and hopefully he does that, and I'm picking Matisse on points here, but I wouldn't surprise me to see an all-out war in which one guy gets just laid out completely.
So was that a 50-50 split then? Donnie, I think...
Well, I didn't weigh in.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think that, as the political philosopher Thomas Hobbes once said, life in a state of nature is nasty, brutish, and short. And I think that will be exactly the way this fight goes. I think someone's going to get laid out early, and I happen to think it'll be Matisse. I just think that these guys are going to go directly to war. That's what they do. I mean, when have you ever seen any of these guys play it safe? They're gonna go in there and they're gonna start from the opening bell, in my opinion. And I think it could be a very short but very quick war, and it could be as early as 3 or 4 rounds, in my opinion.
A definite advantage Matisse has here is that Provodnikov is there to be hit, so he's going to get clocked. He's going to have a free shot to hit him with his best stuff, just as Alvarado did, just as Algieri did. Not that his best was anything special, but Matisse's is special. So if we have to see if Provodnikov can withstand that. I mean, we know he's all man. He's unbelievably tough, but Matisse's got different kind of power than guys he's faced. So, I mean, he's going to be able to hit him with his best. So I hope he takes that opportunity.
So, let's say, hopefully next week we're going to be discussing about a great fight. Hopefully it's a blood and guts war. There's going to be a lot of reviews next week. Obviously, says Terence Crawford, Thomas Delorme. So, I think we've also got that other card. I forgot.
Chavez
Fanfara as well. So we'll have that main event coming up. I'd like to thank the panel today. Brian King for jumping in there, Donny Baseball, Steve Wellens, David Loback, Alex Morris. Just to let the listeners know is to remember that we are doing these short news shows. They'll be up on our YouTube account. Just keep an eye on them. They're on Twitter with Kurt, etc. and Alex. I really don't know what's happening with the Thursday Madness show. We need to get on to Matty again about that. Donny and Dave need to get involved with that one as well, guys. I've been the host, Andy Patterson. We'll see you next week. It says thanks again for the Twitter questions and the callers, and we'll see you next week. All the best. Cheers.
Bud Crawford, top 10 pound for pound.